Hey Jen, thank you for taking the time to see me today. I know you invited me back because you wanted to hear the Oracle Cloud story, and I finally got it together, ready to go. We'll get this all up on the whiteboard here, and we'll make it hopefully easy to swallow. But before we dive into that, I just want to talk quickly about what you think might be the top 3 challenges we want to address in looking at an Oracle Cloud solution.
Like faster delivery of our solutions is probably the top thing.
Okay, so faster delivery.
Yeah. Managing our SLAs.
Got it, always a big one, okay.
And then, of course, just keeping our costs low.
Never heard that one before, got it. Okay, very cool, so keeping the cost down. What I can do is, I think we have a pretty compelling business case for most of these. I'll touch on these later, but we can look at some examples of what other customers have done using the Oracle Private Cloud to address these different things. So the big guys, GE's done it, the US Customs have done it, and a company called Alpha Natural Resources has done it. AlphaNat for now. Before we dive too far into the cloud, the Oracle Cloud story, what I want to address first is tying the challenges to how the business sees them.
Okay.
And then address maybe just kind of agree to what makes a cloud.
Okay.
So faster delivery is all about making the business agile. So focusing on business agility. The SLAs are also part of agility, but bring up an element of risk if they're not met. As who knows if those SLAs are tied to certain monetary losses. Like sometimes if an SLA is not met, it could cost the company money. And driving down costs. So let's just make the third business issue costs. So being accountable for spending money if you have to. So let's dive into, I guess, what makes a cloud. I'm going to just list off a couple things that as an industry we've seen and then quickly tie them back. So what makes a cloud? It's got to be a standardized platform. Has to be accessible by not just IT, so it's got to be a self-service system. So an application developer can go in there and just pull out a database or build a Java framework for whatever they need. We need a standard services catalog so that someone can go in there and say, I've got an idea for an application. I need to develop it. Give me a database. Give me some middleware to build it on. It's got to be multi-tenant, which is a big one, which Oracle, let's see, there we go. It's got to be addressable by, that's kind of more towards back-end management, which brings me to the next one, which is centralized management. So you got to be able to manage it from one place of the application platform. The last one, I guess actually probably 2 more that are really important is the chargeback. So if an application developer wants to say, hey, I need this idea, you can keep an accurate count on the true cost to IT using the chargeback capabilities we have. And the last piece of the cloud is we want to put it on an engineered system, which ties directly into infrastructure as a service, but we can come back to that later. So if we agree that these are the kind of the principles of a cloud and where we should probably start, we'll talk about how this ties into Oracle's platform as a service.
Great.
Perfect. So tying the engineered systems piece to it, what we have is infrastructure as a service, which is a collection of our engineered systems that you have the ability to scale out as necessary and sub-license to a degree where if you need more capacity, you can add to it. So we can build that out, and tied to that hardware is the Oracle software. So we have the database offered as a service, and our Fusion middleware products offered as a service. What these all do combined is allow for really agile application development. Typically, in a standard development cycle, we would see something like a application developer or a geologist, if you're an oil and gas company, would come to you and say, hey, I've got this great idea. I want to run this application. I think it can make us money, grow top line. What's really important though is how long that would take. So from idea to delivery is what we're trying to affect here. And that actually will grow top line revenue. Our goal with this would be to be able to rapidly deploy any new applications that any of the business we want to come to. We want to be able to say yes to the business. So what this will allow is a standard services catalog platform, and by using some of the different features in Enterprise Manager 12c, we're enabling multi-tenancy and centralized management and chargeback. So this is Oracle's, I guess, the way that we see the cloud world. What this would do, it could lower cost by having to use a single vendor, use standardized everything, so you don't have to worry about introducing new risk by adding a new vendor and having to deal with new security problems. So we have all that standardized. Agility we address using platforms as a service because we're able to quickly develop these applications and monitor their usage using the chargeback feature, which we can come in and say something like, say, hey, this application actually cost us this much, it made us this much money. We can accurately assess the costs of development. Having a private cloud also addresses risk in that we are making it easier for IT to monitor what the application developers and what other lines of business are doing. That model makes sense for new application development, not necessarily for the existing applications you have. So if we're looking at the maturity curve and calling it, say, a 3-step ladder where you have siloed applications sitting on their own hardware, their own middleware, and their own different database or whatever it is you have, whatever the infrastructure is. So we have it as siloed as now. Next thing we're going to move to up the maturity model is moving that towards a standardized platform. Once we've become standardized and we don't know Oracle, the goal is to move towards an optimized environment. So as we come up this maturity model, we're allowing applications to be more rapidly deployed. So you're enabling the business and enabling this time to market that really could drive top line growth. What we have for these, we have actually cloud visioning workshops that will help companies where we'll bring in our own business architects and enterprise architects to help map how we can move these siloed applications and bring them to the cloud, which also drives down costs, which also drives down costs and drives down risk by eliminating the heterogeneous nature of your environment. So what it does is it standardizes everything. You're able to secure everything across different platforms. So how will this help us? I guess this is a question we're going to come back to. And why was Oracle's cloud story compelling? Well, we were able to do a GE. By deploying PaaS, they were able to increase uptime, or they were able to, they were able to deploy applications 100% faster, which is a 10x growth. Customs, the US Customs Department, all government jokes aside, the Customs Department was able to lower their costs across hardware, middleware, and database by 75%. So 3/4 of their costs they saved. And Alpha Natural Resources, we can't disclose what they initially had, but Alpha Natural Resources is now at 99.95% uptime. They are highly available. They haven't necessarily been that way before. In terms of next steps, this is the overall cloud model. We've saved money here, cut risk here, and helped uptime and agility here. So the whole goal is to drive down costs, speed up time to market and agility, and lower IT's risks to the business. Tying these back to your initial challenges, by being able to rapidly deploy applications, we'd be able to deliver to the business faster. We'd be able to meet SLAs by saying that, hey, you know what, if you need an application that needs a database and needs middleware, we can guarantee you that that'd be out there in a day, as opposed to months or weeks, depending on the different environment. Costs, we'd be able to standardize and optimize, and these platforms are scalable, where we'll be able to manage costs and figure out exactly what's costing what. Also, addressing the cost piece is looking at the chargeback feature, which can help you keep an accurate and true count on what the application development in the business is costing. So if it makes $1 million, but it costs you $2 million, you're not going to do it. So it's good to know these things. Yes, from here, what we have is we've got a big workshop coming up. We've got cloud visioning workshops that we can get you all signed up for, and then a few webinars that will help address a lot of the issues we just covered today. I know this is a ton of information, but I appreciate the time, and I think we might be onto something here.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.